that coffee down. Coffee's for closers only.
I'm never going to put that coffee down because I am the closer. This is Tim with My Big Blue. We're bringing the best in New York Giants sports talk and entertainment. Want to talk about Tyrod Taylor. Want to talk about Daniel Jones. Want to talk about this quarterback situation because you know what? I've been reading some articles, been listening to a couple podcasts, and I find it interesting that there seems to be now a pendulum swing on some of the minds of not only people outside of the New York area, but some prognosticators and some writers and some other persons that believe that Tyrod Taylor may have the opportunity not to come in and take this job away from Daniel Jones immediately, but they're wondering if the OG QB can come in and do what he does and move the needle, put the needle on the record, move the needle to his favor and sit there and at one point in time or some point in time this season, come in and start for Daniel Jones, even with injuries not involved. Now, when you went out and gave Tyrod, let's say, low-end starter money, and when you had a not a plethora of cash in the salary cap situation, and you still go out and get Tyrod Taylor, there's a moment there that you think, there's a moment there that you pause. There's a moment there that you say, you know what, Tyrod Taylor, who's bounced around this league quite a bit recently, could potentially not only be a spot starter effectively, but maybe over a long period of time could come in and be a replacement for Daniel Jones. Daniel Jones is bigger. Daniel Jones, I would say, has a stronger arm. I think they both have the quickness to move effectively out of the pocket. I think Tyrod Taylor is more of a true scrambler than Daniel Jones is. But you also have to remember, Shane knows Tyrod from Buffalo. I can't even talk, from Buffalo. And he brought him to New York, of course. And while it's interesting because we talk about the decision-making process through Daniel Jones's brain. We do talk about that. And how sometimes he seems slow to react and slow to get the ball out of his hands. Tyrod is the opposite. Tyrod has the ability to get rid of the ball quickly. And at times, if you're worried about your offensive line, if you're worried about going to a 4-5 receiver set, if you're going to have multiple players who are slot players, either playing in the backfield or playing on the outside, you need to make quick decision-making processes because your one-on-one blocking may not hold up. And Tyrod has that ability. You could take a look at how he played with the Texans. That was a little bit more of a preview of what Tyrod can do, especially when he was there early on before he got injured. He is a guy that he has the ability. We always talk about Tyrod Taylor, and you know what? I would have preferred to have Tyrod Taylor back in 2016, but we have him now in 2022. But he still has the legs to extend the plays. He still has the ability to move around the pocket when it breaks down. He can still accurately deliver the ball. But do you truly want the OG QB sitting there for 15 weeks as your starting quarterback, especially if Jones struggles? Now, people will sit there and tell you, well, Jones struggled and what was a simple offense with Jason Garrett. I said this a million times, and I've said it before. I think the offense was simple because it was an order or an edict from Joe Judge to Jason Garrett saying, do not have Daniel Jones lose this game for us. Make sure he holds on to the ball. Make sure he is effective. And we broke it down before that when people said, well, he barely threw the ball. He averaged like 32 throws or 33 throws a game under Jason Garrett. That's quite a lot. That's slightly above the league average. And with a potential offensive line that is better, and I do have my fingers crossed, better than last year's, if you can add on those extra seconds, wouldn't it be more prudent to have a quarterback who can quickly decipher and dissect the play and get the ball out of his hands? And I think it's interesting that the podcast I was listening to, I don't remember the name of it. I'm trying to think of the name of it off the top of my head. But Charles Robinson's from Yahoo Sports was there. He was on it. And he was basically said that he believed that Jones is more on a short leash than certain players or certain people in the media or even on the team or on the fan base probably would like to believe. That he does not have as firm a grip on the starting position as people think. and that Dable might be willing to pull the plug on Jones quickly and start Tyrod Taylor as soon as the end of September or October if he struggles, and even if he's not injured, if he just struggles completely. And I find that interesting because I'm seeing more and more people outside of New York questioning how long Daniel Jones is going to be a fit on this team, how long Daniel Jones can hold up the moniker of New York Giants starting quarterback. That's what we need to think about. Like I said, I would be more comfortable if this was Tyrod Taylor from 4 years ago. But if you do watch how he played in Houston, and Houston was a bad team. Did you think the Giants were a bad team? I watched a lot of Houston games. Houston was a bad game. It was just a bad team. It was just a bad team. And you know what? It's interesting that we are talking about a guy who could potentially come in and start for Daniel Jones. And Tyrod has only made 10 starts over the prior 4 seasons combined. So while we worry about the injury issues for Daniel Jones, everyone seems to ignore the potential injury issues for Tyrod Taylor. And I'm not talking about getting your lung punctured by a team doctor on the sideline. I'm not talking about that. I'm just talking about the injuries that he has and the injuries that he has had. So I'm just curious. I'm just curious. Because I still think he can deliver the ball with velocity. I still think he can have some accuracy. Tyrod, that is. I still believe that he can extend plays using his wheels. I have that feeling that he could. And like I said, look at who he's dating, because he's the OG QB. And I've said it a million times. I go back and think of the movie Moneyball when the scouts are sitting around going, you know what? Ugly girlfriend doesn't have any confidence. No, I don't think if you see who Tyrod's dating, you're ever going to say that. And I'm just joking about that. But he is a guy for a short period of time, especially if Daniel Jones may not even be here next year. Why not move on quickly from Jones? Make the switch to Tyrod when things are going bad. Pull the plug quick. Don't keep the fan base in hysteria waiting for Tyrod. And honestly, I'm going to tell you this, and it's not something I say you go out and do, but if you pull Daniel Jones and Tyrod has 1 or 2 games and then starts having poor games, people are going to start hearkening back and wanting Daniel Jones in the lineup because everyone loves the backup quarterback until they get on the field. It's a lost season. It's potentially a lost season. Let's say it like it is. I've said it before. If the Giants win 5 games, I'll be happy. Anything over 5 games, I will be ecstatic because of the fact that you don't expect them to win more than that. If they win less than 5, I probably won't be happy. But if they win 5, they show improvement. They take this draft as a foundational building block going into 2023. I am happy, and I think that's the way that we need to look at this. Sorry about that. I had to stop the phone. But like I said, this is a foundational year. You have to see if Joe Schoen has put the building blocks in place to help this team improve in 2023. I personally think he has, especially with the first 2 picks. And even if those 2 picks alone are the only one that pans out, you do have 2 foundational players in the first round. And you know what? Whoever starts this season, whoever finishes this season at quarterback, I don't think it's going to matter, because I believe there will be a new quarterback either via free agency or in the draft in 2023 who will either come in here as a bridge starter or a backup starter for the New York Giants in 2023. And again, this is Tim with the Online Big Blue, being the best in New York Giants sports talk and entertainment. And as always, if you could if you subscribe, if you ring that big notification, that'd be awesome.